Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be going over our new 253 DPI. We just ran a little dual pulse aluminum MIG on the brand new power set mode. So we're going to go through this machine, show you all the new features and functions of it. We've got some really cool technology packed into these new units. So let's get started running through all this new technology. So today we've got our new 253 DPI. So the big change with this unit is that it is now an LCD display. With the LCD display, that brings a lot of really interesting applications for us. So we can now offer the power set mode in a much more in-depth power set mode. So when you go to power set, you can select ER70, ER80. You can select all your stainless wires, even 4043, 4047, 4943, 5356, and 5554 for your aluminum wires. So a lot more features and programming that we can pack into this machine just because we have the room to offer those adjustments. So let's go ahead and dive into the menu changes. If you do already have a Cyclone like 212, 262, 312, this menu is going to look very similar. It's updated slightly from the previous generation of Cyclones. The new Cyclones will have the same menu as well. So let's start rolling through it. All right, so now we are on our solid wire, typical short circuit. You can do, spray arc in this mode as well. But standard kind of setup as far as your menu goes for the Cyclones. So we can see we're on 240, we're on MIG, we're on argon CO2 mix, and we're on manual mode. So in order to access these lower menus, we have two down arrows, so that controls your right and your left side, and then scrolling going to the right and scrolling going to the left. So if we want to come down here and adjust our pre-flow, we press down. It'll light up our volts. That shows us that we can change our volts, so it'll light up red. We press down again, so now our pre-flow is lit up red, so now we can adjust our pre-flow. Let's put 0.3 seconds in there. Now if we want to adjust our spot feature, we hit the over arrow, and now our spot feature is lit up, and it'll show us what we're adjusting as far as our spot timing. So it does open up that number, so it makes it a lot bigger. Instead of adjusting it just down into the mini display, it makes it a lot easier to see what you're doing. So we want to go to the lower menu and adjust post flow. Here we are. Let's put 1 second on there. Again, it shows us up top, so we're not just reading this small box down at the bottom. Let's go over to our right side. All right, now we're on the right side of the menu. So we have our voltage on the left, our wire feed in inches per minute on the right. So again, we hit the down arrow. We can adjust our torch remote. So we can do a 2T, 4T, a 2T special, 4T special. This is if you want to have a hot start and a crater fill. So we can just leave it on 2T. We then go over, we have our inductance control. So let's just set our inductance to an arbitrary number. We'll go 49%. Burn back, if we were running solid wire, we'd go 0.2, 0.3 seconds of burn back. I've got aluminum right now. We really don't need to run much burn back on aluminum, so we'll leave it at 0. We can drop down now. Now we can set our wire diameters. So we've got 0.45 in right now. What this is going to do is mainly set us up for power set mode. But we'll come over, so we've got our ER80s, ER70. So like I said, I've got aluminum in the gun at the moment. Obviously we're on argon CO2, so that's going to be hard wire. So that's our only options for wire type. So it doesn't let you get, it lets you know that you're not on the right setup. Of course, we got our standard, standard MIG whip, spool gun, or push pull gun. So that's one feature too we've added with the DPI series is now we can run a spool or a push pull, and it all connects through the same port. It's not a different connector. It's all the MTS style connection. And then for our customers that are outside of the US and use something other than cheeseburgers for measurements, we can also select inches per minute, or we can do metric units. So for our customers that are outside of the US, we did make a metric conversion right there on the screen, so you can go back and forth very easily. All right, so we covered our argon CO2 mixes, for standard hardwire. So now we're going to scroll over, same exact menu for 100% CO2, same menu. We get into our aluminum and silicon bronze. So we have a special programming just for aluminum and silicon bronze, its own power set mode. So we can enter power set mode. This is one of the really cool things we've done with the menu redesign. On our slopes up and down in power set, as you start to get outside of the optimum range, it goes from green, you can see it'll go to yellow, and then we get on the very high side, it'll start turning red, showing you that, if you're this high up, maybe you need to go back and look at your other adjustments in the lower menu, whether it's wire size or material type and thickness. Maybe you're outside of the range. So we'll go ahead and turn that back down to the center. And we have put a ton of effort into getting the power set modes a little more dialed. Previously, honestly, they were a little hot. We kind of set them up hot. That way someone wasn't welding cold. Typically, we figure if you're using power set mode, you're a newer welder, don't have as much experience setting up a machine. So we wanted to set those a little bit hotter just to make sure that everybody was getting good penetration using power set. But here's a run from the first of the video. We literally just went to power set, put in our wire size, put in our material thickness, and that was an untouched power set mode run. So we've got the power set mode a lot more dialed than the previous like Cyclone models and the other MTS models. So let's go ahead and keep rolling through the menu. We'll take it back off of power set. We also have a stainless steel mode. Now, the really cool thing on the new LCD screen is with the single and dual pulse, that's allowed us to also have, like I said, the power set mode. So instead of having to manually set up your pulse and really know what you were doing with pulse, now with the LCD, we're able to offer that power set mode where you can just enter in your wire type, your wire size, and your material thickness. And we still give you a pretty good range to adjust within, but it sets up all the background pulse for you, which makes it a lot easier to get started, especially with pulse aluminum. So that's a single pulse. We'll go back out of power set. So double pulse, same thing. So we've got power set mode on double pulse. So that double pulse can get really tricky because there are so many variables that you're trying to control. And we still give you some control over your frequency, and of course your wire size, wire type, material thickness. But it sets up most of the background programming for you based on your material and your wire size. So it makes getting into dual pulse a whole lot easier than the previous generation of the DPI units. One thing we've added too as well, as we scroll across the top here, we've added flux core, so no gas flux core. We've added full programming for dual shield. Super new feature. You can hear the fan kick up. Maybe on the microphone you can hear the fan kick up. On the DPI series, we've now offered DC lift TIG. So this is a true, like, not a scratch start, but basically a true lift TIG. So with the lift TIG, it is going to come with a dry rig. So you will hook up like a TIG rig, so it will hook up directly to the bottle is how you'll run that. So it'll always be hot. And then, of course, we've still got DC stick and full power set mode in the stick mode. And that's pretty much all the new features on the main panel. So let's move to the new programming, like program save, program recall menu. This is where it gets really nice, because one of the biggest complaints that we've always had, and we're correcting it, is on all of our machines that had savable programs, it was just 0, 1 through 9. There was no way to know what that program was set for. So on these new machines, you can hit recall, and you see all these say empty. We can actually enter in a custom set name to that programming. So we'll go ahead and show you how to do that. So if you just tap it, it'll say recall. So you're not actually in the program save function. You're just recalling the menus that you already have saved. So we'll go ahead and let it go home. If we press and hold, like a 3-second hold, come up, now it says save. We can go over and we can Now we can go to certain numbers, and we'll go all the way down to the bottom. So you can have up to 30 saved programs now. So we'll go back up to the top. We'll go ahead and make a custom program real quick and show you guys how to enter in a custom name for each line. All right, so now let's show you how to custom program a save file. So we're going to come over, we're going to press and hold our save menu button for about 5 seconds. It'll pop up. So now it says save. You can see here to the very far right side, we have a lock and unlock button. So we can press the power set button to lock it. If we want to select, let's say we're going to go down and we're going to select program 7 is the one we're going to put a custom program on. We hit power set, that unlocks it. We then select it. So now we have our full keyboard that pops up. So we can scroll through. Let's say we're going to call it pulse. So we go to P, hit our left button. We got to go back up to U, P, U. So we'll do pulse, and then we'll call it AL. And we can add spaces, so we'll call it pulse AL. We can go down in space, and we'll call it point. Go back to our numbers. 1, 2, 5. So pulse aluminum, 1/8 inch. So now we just scroll over. We'll just keep rolling through. We scroll to our save button, hit save. So now our program 7 is called Pulse AL 0.125. So now I know when I want to go back to running pulse aluminum on 1/8 inch, I can just go to single press, go to my recall. I can go down, there's my Pulse AL 0.125. So we can just rotate to our program 7. There we go. So now I've got my program. So it makes it a lot easier if you do have, so we've got 30 available programs. So if you are running a lot of different parts and you find a setting you really like, now instead of just trying to remember if, oh, is that program 1 or program 3, program 9, now you can name them exactly for what it's for. You could even put a part number in there if it's for a specific part. If you're doing production, like a work order number, or like I said, you can just name it whatever you want. Um, so yeah, it makes it a lot more convenient for keeping track of what program is for what part or what process. So really, really awesome feature. I know people have been asking for it for a while. It does require a lot of background coding. I think a lot of people don't realize, so it was a pretty monumental effort as far as programming goes to be able to allow that. But super awesome feature on the new, all the new Cyclones will have that. So really, really awesome feature. All right, so that kind of concludes our quick run through of the new 253 DPI. So I just wanted to make a video showing you guys how to access the features, some of the new functions that are available with the machine, of course, how to set up a new programming. We've got some questions about that. The manual is a little bit wordy. It tells you exactly how to do it, but it is kind of wordy. So some people, like myself in particular, I learn a lot better by just seeing it in a video. So there you go. See, this kind of give a general kind of like 3,000-foot overview of all the features. Stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more content with these machines going, deeper dive into single, dual pulse, even doing some spray arc with the machine settings. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you guys soon.